During the day, the room was unremarkable, nothing special. But for whatever reason, I always dreaded that room, and one night I discovered why. These events occurred throughout my childhood. I'll recount them to the best of my ability. Some viewers might find this video disturbing. This is a true story. It all started when I was around 8 years old. Most of the stories I'm going to tell you in this series took place at my grandparents' house. They lived in a small, sleepy town in rural Texas. I distinctly remember the strong smell of onions when my parents would drive me there. At sundown, like clockwork, you could hear the rumbling of the train barreling down the tracks, the roar of its horn fading off into the distance. I would come to dread that sound. They lived in a small house on around a quarter acre of land. It was a really old house. Inside, the walls were lined with wooden paneling. Most of the house was carpeted. In the living room were couches with ornate flower patterns all over them. The coffee and end tables were antiques. Most of all, however, I remember the painting. It was a portrait. I think it was supposed to be Jesus, but something about the portrait troubled me. His hair was kind of ragged. He looked sad. There was something about it that just made me feel uneasy. The painting was mounted on the wall near the hallway. At the end of the hallway was a room, only large enough to fit a twin bed comfortably at most. In the room was a closet to the left with double sliding doors. It was filled with a bunch of my grandma's old clothes, and there was a window at the end of the room. Sheer red curtains draped in front of them. Now, during the day, the room was unremarkable. Nothing special. But for whatever reason, I always dreaded that room, and one night I discovered why. It was poker night. That meant that I was going to be left alone for a few hours. No big deal. It was just like any other Saturday night that I had stayed over. I made myself a sandwich and I sat down on the floor in front of the TV in the living room. About an hour or so passed when I thought I heard a knock. Now, I thought it came from the large window to my right. So I peel back the curtains and peer out. I couldn't see anything but what shone beneath the streetlights. Nothing unusual. So I thought nothing of it and went back to watching television. This time, the knock was loud. It made me jump. This time, I heard it come from the hallway behind me. I was supposed to be the only one in the house. I knew this. The feeling of a million pins and needles flowed over me in an instant. I turned slowly, only to realize that I had forgotten to turn on much of the lights in the house as I usually did. In silence, I listened, my eyes wide open. That's when I hear a slight rustling sound coming from the room at the end of the hallway. Almost like my grandma searching through her closet for something to wear. I foolishly mustered the courage to peer down the hallway. All I could see was a dim red glow of the window at the end of the room, at the end of the hallway. The light from the street outside struggling to pierce the darkness through the curtains. So I hear the rustling again. This time it was more forceful. It was definitely coming from the room. A feeling of pure terror pulses through my body. When suddenly, the silhouette of something appeared to stand straight up, seemingly from the floor of the room. I bolted out of the house and ran faster than I ever had across the street to my neighbor's house. Frantic, I tell him, "There's someone in my grandparents' house with me." But I knew that it wasn't so much as a someone as a something.